Thanks for joining me on episode 557 of the Inspired Stewardship Podcast.
I'm Annie Purdue-Olson from Leading Better Together. I encourage you to find the courage to lead in ministry well. And one way to be inspired to do that is by listening to this, the Inspired Stewardship Podcast with my friend, Scott Mater.
And then we begin to communicate more and process more. You begin to share with other people what you think, how you think it, why you're thinking it, the information behind the information. So it's no longer just about sharing details or information. It's about sharing the thought processes that get you from one point to the other. Welcome and thank you for joining us on the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. If you truly desire to become the person who God wants you to be, then you must learn to use your time, your talent, and your treasures for your true calling. In the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, you will learn to invest in yourself, invest in others, and develop your influence so that you can impact the world. In today's Spiritual Foundation episode about investing in yourself, I talk with you about focusing on becoming a better leader, how Philippians chapter 2 verses 3 through 4 lets us see how to do this, and why this means changing your focus from doing to showing. In Monday's episode, one of the things that Ryan and I talked about was how as you shift to becoming a leader, as you shift to influencing others and helping others become better than who they are, you begin to look at things differently. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the spirit behind this, the spiritual foundation, the sort of philosophy that you can have that helps you do this, helps you shift from just being a doer, somebody who does the work, to someone who actually helps others and grows others. You know, it's interesting because even now in a solo job where I'm the coach and I actually spend my time coaching others, my focus in coaching is on helping people grow to such an extent that they don't need me. Now, interestingly, a lot of people, we continue to work together even after they don't, quote, need me, because there's value in having influence and input from other people. But it isn't about them having to have me. This is sort of the same idea about leadership. You know, one of the things we've talked about in terms of leadership is the fact that all of us are leading someone. We all have people around us that we're influencing for good or for bad. We all have people around us that look to us to see how they should walk through life. Those may be clients, those may be friends, those may be family members, they may be business people. There's all sorts of people around us that are influenced by us. And the passage from Philippians that I use today says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interest of others." Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4. And I love how in just a few sentences, this really sums up what it means to shift from just doing to growing others. This idea that we don't do it out of selfish ambition. We don't do it because we get something from it. We don't do it because we continue to grow in some sort of success measure. We don't do it because we get more money or we get more accolades or we get more awareness. We don't do it out of a self-focus, but we do it out of an other focus. That's what it means to have the humility to value others above yourself. Not because you look at yourself as lesser. This isn't about tearing yourself down. This is about building others up. You know, I love the quote that says that humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. So you're not looking out for just who's in it. What's in it for number one? What do I get out of it? But you're also looking to grow and lead and develop others. You know, one of the biggest compliments that I have gotten before is that my philosophy on leadership was always to grow other leaders to such an extent that I wasn't needed anymore. I could grow myself right out of a job. If I could grow my team to such an extent that natural leadership arose within the team and I was no longer needed, that was a good thing. But a lot of leaders instead look at their team as competition. It means changing your focus from being the one who does things to being the one that shows and teaches other people what to do. You begin through humility to listen more. You ask more questions instead of making statements. Instead of telling people what to do, you ask for their input. You ask for their advice. You ask for their ideas. We're going to talk later in the week about surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you. And this is part of it, is learning to listen more. Then you begin to teach and coach more. You begin to look at people and not look at them as I'm just going to tell you what to do, but instead, I'm going to let you own this. I may talk to you about what the results are or what I would like to see, but at the end of the day, how we get from point A to point B is up to you. And then we begin to communicate more and process more. You begin to share with other people what you think, how you think it, why you're thinking it, the information behind the information. So it's no longer just about sharing details or information. It's about sharing the thought processes that get you from one point to the other. And then the most important thing, if you want to begin to shift from doing to leading, the single most important thing is you have to begin to trust more. You have to look at other people around you and say, I trust that they have my best interest at heart. I trust that they're going to work as hard or harder than I am. I trust that they're going to do what needs to be done and make the hard choices. And then as you begin to trust, you will discover that you have become a leader instead of a doer. Thanks for listening. Thanks so much for listening to the Inspired Stewardship podcast. As a subscriber and listener, we challenge you to not just sit back and passively listen, but act on what you've heard and find a way to live your calling. If you enjoyed this episode, do me a favor. Go over to facebook.com/inspired stewardship and like our Facebook page and mark it that you'd like to get notifications from us so that we can connect with you on Facebook and make sure that we're serving you to the best of our abilities with time and tips there. Until next time, invest your time, your talent, and your treasures. Develop your influence and impact the world.